Welcome to Hip Hop Now Podcast. If you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. Don't disrespect the legend. Hip hop is here to stay. Let's get right into the business. What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode, a bonus episode of Hip Hop Now Podcast, a podcast specifically designed to keep you caught up on all things hip hop music and culture. Big shout out to the Patreon supporters, past and present. You watching on the video or scrolling down there at the bottom who have supported the podcast over at patreon.com/hiphopnow. If you would like to learn more about that, the link is in the description of this episode. Also, we on the road to 500 subscribers. Slowly getting there. You know, there was a point where this channel was like 100, 200. Now we like 420 something. So we getting there. So if you watch this podcast, you enjoy it. If you listen to it, even if you never tap into the video, maybe you watch YouTube sometimes, you can go to the channel and subscribe. The link is in the description of every episode. Because it's really how the channel grows, people sharing, and most importantly, statistically, about 58% of the people who have watched my videos over in the last 30 days are not subscribed. And they may love it, they may like it, you know, they may come back for more. And if you're one of those people and you enjoy what you've seen or what you've heard so far, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, comment. I read the comments, we respond. It's all about engagement. We're going to talk about certain level of engagement today. You know what I'm saying? So if you scared, go in the house.
Go in the house.
You don't understand these bars, just go in the house, shorty. We tell you when to come back outside.
For real.
Because it's about to be crazy. So as we did before on this podcast, when J. Cole apologized, I had the homie Tony of IntoTheDome.com and Kill of Apartment 5B on to talk about that. But in that episode, I felt like every 5 minutes I was like, me and the homie Ock said, and then Ock is here, y'all. He's here. We already done talked about it. We're gonna get into it, but real quick, this is the homie. He is a lifelong hip-hop fan. He's been a producer, he's been a rapper. He's been the longest tenured host of the legendary Strictly Hip Hop in Baltimore, 10 years, and he from the town. Akanola, what's good, brother?
Man, thank you, man. Thank you for having me, Chief. Really appreciate it, man. Everything good, man. Everything good. We here to talk about what's happening in the culture today. You know, what's happening today. It's always something in the culture. You know, but you know
Right.
what's going on today. You know,
Right. It is. Look, I pride this podcast on keeping those who are not always informed on everything or just want a certain perspective, but specifically those who you know, life things get in the way, and maybe you still love hip hop, but you're just not in it in the same ways you need to know. So to get you caught up real quick. You know, there's been this whole back and forth with diss records from J. Cole to Drake to Rick Ross, and then you had some offshoot situations for which we ain't gonna discuss because we don't trust them now. But we don't care about what they rapping about, to be honest, you know. But this specific battle, as you know, you watch the other episode, J. Cole just tapped out like, yo, what am I doing? I'm out. Peace. Y'all can have it. Drake kept going. He put out a song called Push Ups. Allegedly, he put out Kendrick AI disses towards him, allegedly, because we don't know. And then he put out a song, Tailor Made Freestyle, where he used AI versions of Tupac and Snoop to basically show their disappointment in Kendrick and really trying to lure Kendrick out after Kendrick set off the whole thing with his verse off the Metro Boomin and Future album, the song called Like That, right? And we got some info about that straight from Kendrick. But everybody was waiting. Yo, Kendrick got 48 hours. He got 2 days. He gotta do this. He gotta do that. And us old heads are kind of like, yo, sometimes they don't hit when you expect them to until it's a Tuesday.
We drop unexpectedly, like you know what. Shout out to
Right,
Biggie. That's what we know.
right,
That's
right,
what we know. All this, we know that, you know.
right. Exactly. And look, for anybody who's younger or just, just not used to what used to be and what is now, and blah, 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 just to talk about how long he took Drake, and I got to credit academics for this because this is where I heard it, but Drake responded to Kendrick's like that verse within 21 days. Kendrick responded to Drake's response, push up, within 17 days. So all this, yo, he lost, what he waiting for, he did it in less time. Does that make you feel better? But we ain't gonna talk.
Mm.
We ain't gonna talk
Without the
about
janky, we need to talk about it, yo. Without the janky rollout too. Without the
without the
confusion,
yeah,
without the deception. Is it this? Is it that? What's
right,
no? It's on his page, his YouTube. It's his.
right.
It's his. It's him. We don't have to try to figure it out and do, calculus. Like, no, it's him. You know.
Right. It's on his YouTube page. It was on his Twitter. Trust me, when everybody said, especially Complex, yo, his response is out, but they hadn't posted it. I was like, well, where is it? And I went to YouTube and that's where I found it. Then I went to his Twitter and it was right at the top. And I was like, yeah, because he don't tweet every day. I was like, this is him. This is
Mhm.
him for sure. And we haven't checked the numbers because we know y'all care about that. But we're just gonna talk about the bars. So I'm gonna just ask you, first time pressing play on it, especially now having had time to really digest, what do you think about uh Kendrick's response given everything that's happened since then? Since everybody's responded basically, specifically Drake.
Yeah, it's crazy because as I'm listening to you and we kick this off, I'm like, yo, did we even mention Shorty name? Like, like yo, the boogeyman, like yo, it's the
Right.
Kendrick Lamar response. Kendrick Lamar kind of kicked us into a firestorm with like that, and we kicked up dust. And Drake was like, all right, I'm with that. You ain't kicking up that much dust. Let's go. And then, like you said, with the rollout and AI track leaking and then the official leak, and then he goes and actually makes an AI track. And now, all right, Kendrick has responded within 17 days. And press and play, um, it's like the initial approach is like, all right, I don't know what to expect. I knew I was going to get a drop, though. I knew it was going to drop.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, the beat is going to drop, and it's likely. This is what I was thinking before it even dropped. My anticipation, I'm like, yo, he's probably going to run with this style that he's been rapping with his cousin, Baby Keem.
Right.
It's off kilter, but yet sharp. And then you have like these heroic horns, the family ties. I'm like, if he does something like that, that would be dope. Can he do something like that? Can you do
Right.
that and make it a response slash battle rap? Can you do that? So that's what I was thinking he was gonna do. I was thinking it was gonna be challenging, but I'm like, yeah, if he gets that off, that'd be dope. So we got the build up, or we got the initial intro with the smooth, sample track, just like, yo, I'm just talk to this dude real quick.
Right, right.
And yeah, that was my initial thought. I'm like, yo, he's talking to him right now. Like, and then he even has something. He says, I'm killing with kindness. He says something like that in those first
Mhm.
couple of bars.
Right,
So yeah, it was all a setup, then for the initial drop. And it was like clockwork. I'm like, oh, there go them horns. There it is. I'm like, okay. So he really gonna go there. He really gonna take it there. One thing I will say, I know people are gonna probably disagree with it. I'm seeing some of the responses and the reactions out there. Um, and I'm glad that he chose the approach that he chose, like the beat selection, and he went with that kind of family ties
mm,
style. Like I think Drake, battle wise, and maybe some of the hip hop heads, were maybe expecting him to come with the boom bap. I think that's what they were, and that's easily like, oh man, you see, he on his rapidy rap. Yo, think it's the '90s. No, he come with the style that he's doing right now. This and it's the
right.
style that he's, some could maybe say it's experimental, but it's the style. This is the mode that I'm in right now. And he chose to respond to, in that mode as far as his approach. So, that was my initial thought, from beginning, to the end, just thinking about the approach. It's like, okay, he's staying in that same bag, like, so, but at the same time hitting on a couple different audiences,
Right.
because you got the grown man bars, you know but then you got that kind of mosh pit rap, rah rah. You got that, and
Mhm.
like in some of your delivery, it's like he weaved in and out of it, because sometimes he's just talking to you.
Right.
Like it's not as rah rah or turned up as like that.
Mhm.
It's aggressive, but it's I get he toned back some of the aggression so he can get some of the more complex
Mm.
bars off. So that's my initial thoughts.
Yeah, I totally agree because it's sort of like J. Cole with 7 Minute Drill did something similar. It's just that the bars weren't where we expected them to be. So
Mm,
the impact was light, in comparison. Because I think in a lot of ways, to your point, yeah, we was there for the boom bap time. So we know we was there for either we was on the radio with all of that. You know what I'm saying? Talking to the people, the hip hop community, doing the tallies and the votes and roundtable discussions and all of that, like on FM radio, right? Live when it was happening. So we was there. We know what happened. It's
yeah.
also outside for I was in Queensbridge when the bridges over hit, and it was like funeral for the entire projects. It was just like, yo, y'all ain't hear it. Oh, y'all ain't hear it. Oh, yeah, I did hear it. Okay. Uh, so I feel like to have that, like to your point, to have the expectation for any of these guys, to be honest, to just go and yo, let me go get a boom bap beat, then they're really only trying to impress us, to be honest. But when you have a
Mm,
beat like that, that's kind of the vibe now that a younger generation can get into, but the bars are there for us to be like, yo, he said blah blah blah, and we'll get into some of those bars. Um, I totally agree. It was probably the right move. My first initial reaction, honestly, I laughed because of how people said like Kendrick gonna respond with some alien noises, and I just think that's the funniest. I just think that's the funniest thing in the world. So when some of those popped up here and there, I chuckled.
mm,
But when I started listening, I was like, oh, I'm there's a lot here. I'm missing a lot. Like on this initial listen, I know I'm missing a lot. I only really caught like one bar that kind of stopped me in my tracks. Like, oh, wait, what did he say? Um, so yeah, I agree, and I think with push-ups, the Drake this he kind of did that. Like this beat is more of a vibe of what I do and what people know. So they kind of thinking alike. Um, but all right, let's just get into some of these bars, man, because I think what's being missed by like obviously we're not going to convince anybody to like anything, regardless, because we are fans of these guys. You know what I'm saying? But it's a battle, and it comes down to judging the bars. That's what battle rap is about. So all the antics, like the one that we mentioned with the AI with Tupac and Snoop's voice, which was pulled down from his accounts because of a cease and desist, because you just can't do that. I'm just saying, especially with Tupac, his estate just wouldn't have any of it. This brought it back to we rapping.
Yeah.
Like you said, the rollout, there was no confusion as whether it was Kendrick or not because he uploaded it. He didn't send it to some podcast or some YouTuber or somebody didn't find it and blah blah blah. It came directly from Kendrick to the people, and most importantly, it was on streaming services within like an hour or so.
Mm.
Drake took a while to get there, which was surprising because you know it's Drake. He could get his joint up there. Rick Ross was up there quick. Like, but we kind of saw what homie was doing. So I let's just start getting into the bars because I think this is a nasty record when you start to break down everything that's being said. What are some of the lines that stood out to you?
Well, the Parkinson, you
Oh,
know, that was crazy to me. They must got dementia, things get shaky. I'm Parkinson, that was I'm like, all right. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? That's crazy. And then, the whole and this is the beginning, this is when the beat first drops. That's when he started to open up the bar bag,
right,
open up Pandora's box and start to reach in and get the bars. The initial intro, he's setting up the whole, this is an actor, and I'm kind of just sitting back looking at all the
hmm,
shenanigans go down. And then when the horns drop, okay, it's time to rap now. And we got the Parkinson, we got the pot turning over in his grave. I mean, we got the you know, you should what did he say? I want to see you push a T, you better off spinning back, with him than pushing me,
yeah,
then drop the brother government, you know, but then but then compares himself to Terrence Crawford. I'm like, oh man.
yeah.
I'm like, okay, we
That
really, and
that was
that definitely hit home for me because I'm a Earl Spence fan. So it's
right.
like, damn. So this is Terrence Crawford. Did we doing that? Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah, pretty
damn.
much. Yeah, pretty much. And I don't know if we mentioned this for people watching, but it is the cover of this episode. The name of the song is Euphoria, by the way. And it contain on the cover, it contains synonyms for euphoria that have basically quotes. And all of this speak to everything that's being said. And most importantly, two things, because you know the internet, we know that Drake was a producer on the HBO show Euphoria, which some say contained a lot of child pornography. Um,
Damn.
yeah, but you know, it's kind of a reach in a lot of ways because it's kind of like that's not what the show was about. but
Mm.
it contained that, right?
Mm.
And today is the day Hitler died.
Oh.
And they're trying to tie that to it. And I'm like, word? Like what? So I gotta listen again because I'm like, wait a minute, is there is there an Easter egg in there somewhere I missed?
Oh
You know,
man.
one of the only line that caught me off guard the first time, which I had to go and tweet about it, was yeah, my first one, like the last one, is a classic. You don't have one. Let your core audience stomach that, then tell them where you get your abs from.
Mm.
Now, for those people who are listening to this Kendrick thing, and really some people can't get into the delivery, but they also don't understand, they're missing some of the bars. Let's just break that down just a little bit for y'all, right? So, my first one, like the last one, J. Cole, even Drake were saying the first one's a classic, but your last album was garbage, meaning Mr. Morale, Big Steppers, Kendrick Lamar's album was garbage. So that's him. Both my joints are classics, right? That's what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, saying you don't have one, because that was a debate online. Like, well, how can you say that? Because do you even have a classic? Most people have a favorite. Like, Take Care is my favorite Drake album, but it's tough to really say what's a classic and what isn't if you're not a mega fan. You know what I'm saying? And the last bar was the one that I had to hit rewind. I had to stop it. I was like, yo, I gotta stop because did he say what I think thought I said or thought he said? Let your core audience stomach that. We're gonna stop there for the slow people in the back. Stomach, right? Core. If you work out, that's your core. You know, you gotta get that straight. Usually you can't really do much of nothing else if that core ain't straight. So
Mm.
stomach and core, let them ask you where you get your abs from, right? Abs in that same core stomach area. And we know, because people were saying allegedly, but we saw it. Drake got some fake abs installed and he took a bunch of beauty photos, but maybe he had some stomach pains, according to Rick Ross. And supposedly got them removed. And I'm thinking
Oh,
somebody,
what?
well, yeah, Rick Ross said that's why he dressing funny at his shows now with them big jumpers and rib
Oh,
cage, hoodies and shit he got on, saying
oh
that
no.
because he can't wear anything tight. If you've ever had surgery, even if you had,
That's the BBL. That BBL, they can't. Oh, that's crazy.
even if you've had a hernia surgery, yo, you gotta put the sweatpants or something on the drawstring. You don't need the tight belt, like
Oh no, yo, that
so.
can't be true, yo.
The big pants and all the photos, y'all. Like,
Oh, so I've seen that like some of the reactions from the YouTubers and stuff and the internets and shout out, man, because no make no bones about it. We here to get into the algorithm. You know what I mean? We gotta we here too.
mhm,
So but I've been watching some of the reactions and some folks have a point of contention. Ah man, he's saying the same thing Rick Ross said about the abs and like that was whack, that was lame. Um, we already heard that before. And it's like this, man. Like I get that. I understand that. We're talking about what? I don't know, 4 or 5 bars, like four, maybe 6 bars at the most,
mhm,
that okay, we heard something similar with Ross. Um, but I think what people are forgetting with this whole, or maybe they don't know, but with this whole MCing and rapping and stuff, a lot of it is how you say things too.
right,
It ain't just about what you say. Shout out to the brother Nas, like no idea is original. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? It's not what you do, but how it's done. Like yo, that's just what it is. We need to stop all of that. You know,
Right.
like and again, like you said, we can't make people like what they don't like, but it's like, yo, come on, you know. Um, another thing, I'm you mentioned it earlier. I'm getting flashbacks with this whole situation. Like,
Mm.
yo, we've been here before. We've been here before. Now, only time will tell. I'm not saying that this is ether. Time will reveal, you know.
Mm.
But we've been here. It looks similar. I remember this. I remember the glazed over looks in some folks' faces. Like, I don't understand when ether drop. I don't understand what's the big deal. It's just all right to me. I remember this, yo.
Right, right.
I remember, yo. I remember. I was there, and now I'm seeing it again with this. Oh, it's mid. I don't, and it's like, yo, man, only time to tell. But again, when we're talking about battling
Hmm.
and this competition between two MCs, like you said, it's the bars. And we could take it a step further. It's the rollout. It's
Hmm.
the songs, the beats. All right, we got two tracks to compare to. We
Right.
got two rollouts to compare to. What we got bars, delivery to compare. What are we talking about here? What are we really talking about? Like, and I don't want to derail because I know we got much more to discuss. But
Hmm.
you know, overall, man, I'm after thinking about this, I think it's gonna come down to people's like preference. You know,
Oh, definitely.
I think it's gonna come down to people's preference. Um, but you can't wipe away history. What's done has been done. And time will tell, and things will come out in the wash. But I think right now with the reactions and things like that is what people prefer.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, when you look at the reactions to like that, and then you look at the reactions to push up, um, it's not necessarily a divide, but it is, right? There are just certain sect of fans who just don't like Drake. They don't like anything about him, anything against him, they are for. They just don't care. Honestly, I that's cool for them to have their opinion, but I don't base my opinions off of them because I know what I like about Drake and what I listen to, and it's the things I respect, including the battle rap stuff, like Back to Back and Duppy Freestyle and stuff like that, where he got busy with it, right? But we also know people on the other side who feel the same way about Kendrick. They don't really like Kendrick and stuff like that. So they really here just to pick a side and argue on social media all day about how much money people got and who did what and rumor and speculation and what somebody said and what somebody have and they don't really even know that. Like it's just wild. But I did a lot of like I was talking to Ak earlier and I was just looking at responses not only from the general public but also from notable MCs who I follow. And
Mhm.
some were committed to saying some stuff like J Rock talking about, he fried him and put him in the hot grease for 6 minutes and 30 some seconds and fried him crispy. And I'm like, damn,
Wings.
like he going in. Or like Shay Noir just saying something quick like Kendrick did that or whatever. To Mad Skills saying this is what we're looking for. And honestly, I think it's what Drake is looking for also, but he was so anxious at not hearing anything and probably like wincing for them
Mhm.
blows. And the blow, we didn't even mention the real blows, because as much as, to Ock's point, as much as he touched on things that Pusha T or Rick Ross have said, he still said it in a way that was impressive. But more importantly, y'all looking for new things. What about that cease and desist of the Like That record? Y'all ain't hear that one? It's in the same song.
Mm-hmm.
There's a history with Drake that's kind of being revealed that really don't have anything to do with us. It's just from a industry standpoint. Now, Ak, let me ask you this, right? And obviously we can get more into the music, but with this joint, it just feels like it's so much more than that. When you look at how people say all these guys piling up on Drake, this also happened before. We was
Mm,
also there. It was the same thing. Jay-Z had everybody came out. The Gay-Z, they would call him everything. Gay-Z, Cisco. And it was just like, wow, it ain't just Nas, it's an onslaught. And it made you think, what is he doing that have all these guys who we had no idea didn't really mess with him like that, coming out and saying, yeah, Nas, like, what was it? So with Drake, when you look at all this cease and desist and blah blah blah, and also sent a feature request to Kendrick. That was in the song too. Y'all ain't
yeah,
hear that? What do you think about just what's being revealed beyond the songs with all these artists and producers going at Drake?
yeah, man. It's it's crazy. It's crazy. And I just doubt these things would be mentioned in the record if it just wasn't authentic, if it wasn't true. I just don't got Shorty. I don't got yo doing that. I
Right.
don't. I don't got. You just gonna make up the whole cease and desist thing just because it sound good? No, I think that was a thing, and so that speaks to the whole scheme of Drake playing rapper. I'm
Yeah.
playing like I'm a part of this culture. But really, I hear something that somebody said that I don't like. Oh, I want to send in the lawyers and the I want to send in the record label. Hey, no, they got to pull that record. Wait a minute, wait a minute,
Right.
wait a minute. I thought, it's time to get on the clock. When the record couldn't get pulled, it's like, okay, let me dial up so and so to get me over some heat so I can respond to dude. Okay, I'm showing my I guess my bias because I think that that's what happened. I mean, we know that Drake has a history of ghost writers, so I think that's what happened. Sorry, but I'm not sorry.
Right. Right.
So when the cease and desist didn't work, it's like, okay, now you have to fight. You got to fight. You got to come off the porch, and eh, the thing is, again, with the cease and desist news, it just makes it disingenuous because from the beginning, when Drake responded, listen, I did not like the rollout. I thought all of that was corny. I thought all of that was whack. The whole AI and that wasn't the full track. I just did not like it. Okay. But I respect that he responded and he came back with a response. I
Right.
do respect that. Um, but then to hear that there was a cease and desist, then it for me it just nullifies. It's again, you playing at this culture. You
Right.
playing. You're not really you you're not who you portray yourself to be.
Yeah, it's really bad because for anybody watching, especially one particular dude who pulled up in my last episode and said, I got a man crush on Kendrick. I just thanked him for his comment. Thanks for pulling up, dog. We already got your money at the door. Okay. Have fun. We don't acknowledge you. Okay. But what I want people to get from this is these are the things that are being peeled back about a person that is trying to cover up things, because that's what you're doing. When you do that, you're trying to stop something from becoming bigger than you and impacting your situation, your music, when it should really be about that. Like, honestly, if Drake didn't respond and he dropped a two-step jam, I'd just be like, well, he bowed out, but this joint does sound crazy.
Yeah, he back on his Drake. He back
Right.
on his
Right. Get your money. I'm not mad at it. This is what you do.
keep us dancing and with our hand waving in the head.
Right.
Oh
Right.
man.
Right. Just know when you step off the plane, extortion is my middle name or whatever he said. So Cali is no fly zone, Drake. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, one of the things also that it again a song with some of these things that are more revealing than the jokes within Kendrick's diss, because people like to hang on to that because I get it. It's funny. Me too. I like humor.
Mm.
But just having major podcasters say, yo, I just text Drake. He said that was light. Drake just texted me back, said he got some nuclear for you. That's a play in itself, because these cats have followings. You're sending the record directly to them because you want them to do the work of, promoting and making it big and making it seem like this big
Myth,
thing. And they did their job, as far as that. But now, for example, using academics, because I got to give him a shout out. Like, I felt like if I could go to him, I'd know what's real at least, than to look at random posts. And to watch him get the Drake this, and he playing and he breaking it down, and then he get the Rick Ross disc directly from Ross, and he playing that and breaking it down. But Kendrick, like, nah, you get it from me. And then it puts everybody back in that space of neutrality and like, okay, you go to the store just like we go to the store. You go listen just like we listen, or we listen together. And it just, to me, it just doesn't look good for Drake to have all these other antics in it when it should just be about the bars. Like what we say, everybody a student of the game to a real student pull up.
Mm.
This is what a real student does. Like, and like I know, Drake, you probably got another one. But before I even say that, let's really let's talk about not necessarily responses, but well, yeah, let's get into that because I don't want to talk about this other thing to the end. But let's just talk about basically where Drake is at this point when a record like this happens, and it feels like the majority of the community of hip hop fans is looking at it like, wait, hold up, am I frozen?
No, you're not frozen.
Okay, I'll cut that out. 40. When it looks like the majority of hip hop is responding positively and breaking down everything and saying you lost. But more importantly, whatever you were holding on to, there's a lot of things you have to address. And I'm gonna just say a few real quick right before we come to you, because there are things that you haven't addressed. Like we get it. Some you just heard the song Drake, so there's some stuff you got to address. But there's a couple of themes, right? Because we know he probably addressed his son's situation by taking a lot of photos with him, right? Hey y'all, here you go. He with me. Thanks, Pusher. Put me in my son's life, outside. Not that he wouldn't have done that, but now you had no choice, because now people don't put your business out there. But that the abs, he can address it if he want to or not. He probably won't. But most importantly, the N word. Rick Ross talking about white. He only referred to you as white boy now. And then Kendrick, like, I don't really like when he say the N word. Maybe it's just me. We don't want to hear you say the N word again. All right. How did this? If you in Drake's camp and he like, yo, I need the ghostwriters to form like Voltron. I How do I respond to some of these allegations?
I mean, I think what he may do, he's gonna try. He may, and he may not. But what I think what they may do is just try to come back with you try and acknowledge like, oh, you woke. You got these woke bars. You woke. We don't want to hear none of that woke. I think that's what that may be the angle. But it's like I'm not sure that's gonna work. Like the cat is out of the bag. Like you that aspect about you, we just keep shining the light on it. And like you said, it hasn't been addressed. Like
Right.
and it's this whole theme of blackface. Like, yo, you putting on. Like you really not you not you're not you're not one of us. You just trying to play like you playing like what you think with this culture is. Like, okay, this is what they would like. And I mean, not what they would like. I guess they do like it because with what is it? Sexy Red, she's successful, she popping right now. So I guess that's his example. That's what he could point to.
Right.
But even with that, with Kendrick addressing that in a roundabout way, like, yo, you giving props and you speaking on these relationships and you promoting all the messy stuff. And yo, we ain't feeling that. So again, if it's Drake's camp, they probably gonna come back like you woke. We don't want to hear none of that, dog. And it's like I don't think you can get that off.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It'd be tough to get that off because he says so much, right? Because if you try to make it woke, well, what's woke about telling you there's a no-fly zone? You're gonna get extorted as soon as you step off the plane. Like, what are you gonna say? They love me in Cali when he's like, yo, we don't like y'all. And he using Canadian slang. Like keep him up there. Don't come around here. We don't care if you don't like the West Coast. We good. Like, it's just, to me, in a lot of ways, just really quick, kind of doubling back, like, because the ghostwriter thing was another thing he's never really completely openly addressed. Yeah, most rappers could be like, yo, my pen game is insane or something like that. But yo, you got Yachty writing for you? Like,
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
my
How do
God,
you?
like, dog, like,
Like you need the sauce. Like you
yeah,
clearly need the sauce, yo.
right.
So what do you like? You in push-ups, you was fighting back, and it looked like yo, I'm the one you come to for the hits, like. So he was fighting back, like, nah, I'm the sauce, but it's like, no, you're not the sauce. If you need, like the reference track is out there, so you're not really the sauce like that. Like you
It
need help with the sauce.
it kind of explains a lot too, Ak, because on this podcast I've given Lil Yachty a lot of grief. He's just become the poster child for what I think is whack and new, right? And especially when he was like, "Yo, I'm this, I'm that," but I know why he's saying that, because if you writing hit records for this dude and your own may not be popping, but you know, yo, I wrote that. Y'all love that record. I wrote that. You feel some kind of way, like, yo, like the worst thing that can happen to Drake is if that dude start talking.
Oh no.
You know what I'm saying? Because he might have chill. You want to get started. I wrote this, wrote that, blah blah blah. And I think one of the things I wanted to say as far as like the exposure of Drake, his tactics have been seen even on lower levels, right? And in some cases, rightfully so. I feel like, yeah, boxing as an example. You can watch whatever you want to watch from boxing on YouTube free of charge. It ain't tied to nothing, right? Yeah, maybe they got to blank out a HBO or Showtime here, but there's just no license situation taming that in the way it is for like a WWE or UFC or NBA, stuff like that. People have to license that stuff to use it. And with Drake, you use a beat on social media, it's going down or it's getting flagged. So I get it for him. I don't think nothing's wrong with that. But I think once you start to, again, use, it's similar to the J. Cole thing, using that legal leverage to try to get things to happen, but then posing like I'm this casual and all I care about is my pen game and y'all don't know, but you're using other tactics. And some people will say, well, it's chess, not checkers. Nah, man, we never believed in that Jay-Z won the war stuff. It's stupid because he didn't just apologize back then. He apologized recently, right? Again,
Mm.
at a show where he was like, I should have never done that because he cared about hip hop. Now, we happy it happened because it was a dope battle. But again, with somebody like Drake, it's just exposing a side to him that he know. That's why cease and desist is damaging to his image. It could make people like, yo, you're not really for the culture. And with the N-word situation, when I first saw the video, he used it like my son would say. He used the hard GER when he said, why are you talking like that? Me and my niggers. Like, really? That's you just really you failed the test in your black class or whatever.
And it's documented.
It's documented and
We
it pops up every time. And that's exactly why Kendrick was like, I don't really like, he literally took a break in the song. I don't really like when he say that. Like, I don't like the way he sounds when he says that.
And maybe it ain't that deep, but I hate it.
Right.
I hate that. I just hate the way I don't.
Yeah, it's crazy too because again, those are the things that resonate with people and it becomes relatable, right? Like again, we're fans of hip hop. So if Drake hits you with a bar that flips something Kendrick says in an ill way, we're gonna be like, that one was mean right there.
Yeah, that whole the Mike Jack. What do you say? What do you say? What's a prince to a king, a son? That was hard.
Right.
That was
That was
hard.
and that's the kind of thing we expected, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But when a dude brings in, this is why you got to address it, Drake. When a dude brings in the integrity of your pen game by having ghostwriters, it just makes Future and Metro Boomin's bar even better. We don't trust you. We don't even know if you wrote that because what else
Yeah.
is documented? He's been seen with some of the greatest ghostwriters of all time. He even was hanging around that scene for a minute. And it was well known, and they would never say that because a bag is a bag.
Mm-hmm.
Some of that hip hop oomph was coming from them, you know. But it's insane when you think about it because again, it's hip hop. We all enjoy it. Hit the like button, comment here, let us know what you think about some of the things we're saying. So let me ask you this, you kind of touched on it earlier. When it's all said and done, is this one of the best diss records of all time, or do we anticipate that coming from either Drake or Kendrick?
Wow, is it the best of one of the best of all time? I think you got to give it time. I mean,
Mm.
I know I like to listen to it. I know it's a dope song. Best of all time, man. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Drake could respond, but I don't have him responding with the best. If he does, I would be impressed. But
Mhm.
I don't see it. I don't see it based on push-ups. I don't see it. I see with this record, this now when you it's again, I'm getting ether vibes. This is another vocabulary word within the lexicon of hip hop. Now, only time will tell if it's gonna have that lasting, but I'm getting that vibe. Now, every time you see that word, we gotta attribute it to him now. That's just what it is now.
Yeah, I think we already there, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Like you're gonna think of you're in this culture, you're gonna think of damn, yeah. Remember when Kendrick got at yeah, that's when Kendrick got at Drake. I again when we looking at rollout and things like that, push-ups is not giving me the same, it's not giving like
Right.
the young for it's not giving me that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Euphoria, yo, that's again in the lexicon. I don't got people saying, "Oh, you got euphoria and all of that."
Right.
I don't think
Right.
we're gonna take it there. But now, when you see that word, it has a different association now. It,
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, for people watching, it's less about what we feel about it, and really, honestly, watching the reactions across the internet, and those reactions that seem honest. Honest doesn't mean you prefer Kendrick. Honest means you're really breaking down what happened and how you see it, whether it's each side. Some people can't really get with the delivery, and didn't think it was that crazy. I don't see it being one of the greatest of all time because I still feel like the control verse hit me much harder than this did. I think as far as a dissection of somebody, which you can say Ether was kind of the same thing. I just think it had a different impact because for those kids watching, the reason why some of these old heads are not impressed and calling the whole thing soft or everybody light is really because of the production, to be honest, because
mm-hmm.
that's where it starts.
Yep.
The production is more of a vibe, a dance, a bounce. Most disc records weren't that. Like No Vaseline was over a Daz band, but it wasn't no party when you was listening to that music, to those lyrics. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? You didn't say, "Oh, I like, disco jazz. I like that joint." No, it was like, "Did you hear what he said?"
Mm-hmm.
So the beat, or like when Jadakiss responded to Beanie Siegel, "I'm stunting on you on the disco beat." It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the beat; it was the fact that, like, yo, he going crazy on this joint, and I think that's what Kendrick did, and I think it's going to be memorable. I think it's one of the better diss records, but I just kind of feel like Control was just more like, and I guess it was just the energy. Again, when you listen to the Takeover or you listen to Ether, those beats sound like something monument, like there's a big battle happening. They have a real big sound to them. Whereas these are more like, I'm flexing and I'm gonna kick a little rap about him while I'm in here vibing to this track. But I think Kendrick's sitting on that one. I think he's sitting on the grimy joint because there's no, and I think Drake, but see, this is the thing with Drake, man. Because of Euphoria, there's no way you're sitting on something that addresses everything there. No
Yeah,
way.
you got to go back. You
Right.
gotta go sit. You gotta go sit back down. And that I think that's what's crazy about Kendrick is he addressed everything that was in push-ups because there's the mythological, and even I was thinking that like, oh yeah, if he went in with control, he probably just been laying. He probably got stuff that. And no, that's not what this was. This was the response to everything Yo said in push-ups. Everything with a sprinkle of here's what I think about you initially. Like you got that setup in the beginning, but then everything else was like a response to what he said in push-ups.
Right.
Like trying to imply that he's being extorted, give me 50. And it's like, I don't want to hear all that. You get off the plane, that's my middle name. And then shout out who you saying is doing that to me. So all that we just nullify all of that, So
And look, let's just be clear. Top Dog tweeted, "We remember everybody who said something where you stood." So I mean, I'm not quoting him, but he basically said that. He didn't say it in that way. Like we saw everybody, and I'm like, okay. So you think, but again, when you sitting outside of it, we think you in it, but it's clear you sitting outside of it and trying to say, oh, well, this one and that one and this one, but all of them don't like you. It just makes it seem like you making stuff up around yes men. See, at least with J. Cole, he was trying to do something hip hop. He just fumbled it. And then maybe that's why he apologized, because he truly was never into it. That's why he wrote that. Obviously, he waited for us all to tell him it was light. Then he said that. But because then you would have never put it out. But with Drake, it just feels like if he responds, it has to address these things on a certain level. Like honestly, it should probably be less vicious and more. Honestly, if he talked about more about, I mean, trust me, in the hood, they not gonna care. But if he talked more about like what it's like to be a mixed child and have to deal with people telling you not black, oh, that's a different feeling. You could turn a couple people with that, like, damn, I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like you could literally turn them on your say, Drake, yo, hit me up. Hey, I need a couple stacks though. Don't tell nobody, like you don't tell everybody else. But Kendrick, I'm still with you, dog. But I will write against you, dog. Drake, holla at me. I'm kind of dark skinned. So you got one. But you know what I'm saying? Like, use that against them, right? Like, yo, look, Baba, start getting into the history. Like, you got a black family. Unless you just shunning them, tell them about that. Like, yo, my aunt TT used to do this and blah blah blah. Get into it. I'm black too. Like, go there.
Yeah, I would be impressed.
Yeah, but he can. When you saying
Kenny.
me and my niggers, like You can't.
So is it there? Based on what history shows, is
Right.
it there? That's the question. That is what, basically what Kendrick and Rick Ross and all of it. It's like, was it ever there, or this was just a rap endeavor? This was just an initiative on your vision board.
Well, look. Okay, let me ask you that. Do you think, based off of not even just the diss records, but just the history of this cat and things he's done and said and moves, do you think it was ever there, or is it like, like to your point, something that's being used to, capitalize off of, basically?
It on face value,
Mhm.
it looks like business moves to me. On face value, we go from Texas to patois, and I'm down with the Jamaican, and it's like we doing all this hopping around, but then on the tape, you sound like that, and
Right.
it's like, if Aunt TT and them, if you was really around them, like, you had no business, with things being communicated that way.
Right. Right.
So it just makes me think that no, this is it's business. It's an opportunity. Hip hop is there. I've got a look. I'm talented. I can sing.
Mhm.
It's business. Let's get to this. Let's get to this money. Some people may go as far as to say a plant and things like that for those, those people that want to do theories and things like that. But it just looks like business to me. It's two different approaches when we're talking about the two MCs, two different walks of life. And I
Yeah.
think authenticity is in question. Now, if we saying, authenticity don't matter, I just want to feel good and throw on the track, and I just want to bop my head. If that's where we are in the culture now, then yo is king.
Mhm.
But if we're gonna get to, we gonna get to the '90s, real recognize real, keeping it real.
Right.
He's not keeping it real. If you are sending out cease and desist on one hand, but then on the other hand, I'm gonna put the battle together, and you're telling academics, oh yeah, that like that, and academics, they say, yo, you better respond, you gotta respond, and his response is, you must not know me well, or I'm on that. Like, when was this? Was this before or after the cease and desist?
Right. I think you make a great point, because it's fair to assume it was before, because Rosenberg said this on Twitter, but I had already been thinking it. I just, after a while, was exhausted talking to, these random one track mind people. Either way, I
Mm.
didn't like how it felt like Drake was thirsty for Kendrick to say something. And where I'm from, where I'm from, and some of you are from, that's nervous energy. For you to constantly, yo, where you at? Oh, I got a Compton sweater on. Did you go to Compton to get that yourself? Because that's the thing, right? Like this, and really, we can't blame Drake for the antics, because really 50 Cent started those kind of antics with all this extra stuff around it. But he was funny. He was funny with it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he
Like,
was funny, and the authenticity, it just felt more authentic, man. It Cause I mean, yo was getting into knife fights and getting stabbed. It's like, yo,
right,
he really, yo, really
right,
like out here trying to. he wilding and he don't care. And
Right,
on one end, he's kind of keeping it light and humorous, but on the other end, there's all this danger.
right,
It's like we don't hear anything about that. Somebody might type in the comments, but I don't remember trying to put like a cease and desist out on Jadakiss. Like, yo, you got, I mean, he did threaten, like, I'll push Styles out, like it was like a bar, like, not only with the violence, but like I'll push like his album back, not
right,
just
right,
you
right.
so like I got some juice over here, so but that's the thing, he put it in bars. He
Well,
didn't
look,
actually go ahead.
I think some of it though is like if you look at the Rick Ross situation, right? He basically had a sketch comedy show going
Mhm.
parallel to anything he was saying, but I think is what a generation latches on to about the battle, right? Because at one point, no rapper in the history of battle rap referred to sales as the reason why they was better than their counterpart. They
Mhm.
just battled them. And the comedy usually came from, how a person looked. You know what I'm saying? And Star Trek shades. I think that's what LL said about Kumo D and stuff like that. So but that's the nature of it, right? There is some comedy in it. But with Drake, he just was like, I don't know why he would think, knowing he does cease and desist like clockwork, that it would be okay at this moment in the history of music, especially when it's been done to him, of people using your voice, your likeness without permission. And he knew it was wrong, but why did it come out? You know what I'm saying? Because it was really about trying to recapture what he did with back to back. But Kendrick ain't Meek, right? There's not you can only come up with your personal opinions about him. You can't come up with anything that we can point at and say, yo, he is kind of like Twitter fingers. So that's a hard line. Yeah. The Nicki Minaj is better. Is that your world tour, your girls tour? Like, yeah, that's complete facts. You know what I'm
Uh,
saying? You're trying to allude to all these things with Kendrick, but in a lot of ways he's kind of plugging those holes so you can't even get in. Like,
yeah, he's nullifying it, which
right.
is so. Are we chalking this up to? All right, this was his rebuttal. This was the rebuttal track, not the response, but this was the rebuttal.
I think so because when you look at it, I mean, in a lot of ways, when people were like, "Yo, he got 48," well, Kendrick got 48 hours, and too old Drake, they were responding to a verse, and they put out full on songs basically, or Drake put out full on songs. Two songs, just one you'll never find because they don't exist anymore. Cease and desist. Okay. Uh, but now you have a rebuttal to Drake with this joint, which is like 6 minutes. And the rumor is that it's even longer than that. And that's probably what we're going to get. We're probably going to get another beat switch to exactly what Boom Bap want.
Who
Uh,
is saying this, man? What is going on? Like, it's an
I,
EP. This man that made an EP about this.
when
See,
you think
that's
about it,
how Drake could come back. Like, yo, okay, dog, you got a lot of time on you thinking about me a lot. You done made an
yeah,
EP,
I think that's why I felt like Drake needed to relax. He should have just dropped Push Up and just waited. Yo, that's my light jab. Let's go.
Mm,
But the constantly, posting on social media, posting pictures of yourself with the Compton joint on, then dropping this AI thing and thinking it was going to be ill, but it really didn't hit that way. Um, it just he kind of made himself look crazy. And meanwhile, Kendrick like this. Oh, cease and desist. Oh, oh, you done? Oh, Okay.
He did
Okay.
a track with who? With what? With where?
Right.
Oh, it's gone now? Oh, all right.
Right. So it's
On
one
the
of those.
way. I got something on the way. Like, all right,
Right. All right.
it's
Push the
time now.
button.
Oh, that does. Oh, they took it down. Oh, the family said no. Okay. All right,
Right.
cool.
Right. Oh, the family sent over this other information about the ring and blah blah, which I forgot about. For those who don't know, Drake purchased Tupac's ring that had like a crown on it a while back. So that's why Kendrick was like, I'll double that, so he can get the ring back or whatever. And Tupac rolling his grave because this Canadian dude got it on. And I was just like, whoo.
Was it a bounty on it? Am I being too ghetto? Am I being
Yeah,
too?
you going to the hood, you
Am I
kind of like,
going
yo,
to?
go get that ring, cuz like
I double it. I double yo. Go get the.
yeah, which speaks to like what people don't get to, like battle rap is early on, it was literally like sometimes it was face to face, but literally, bar for bar. In the two that and this was reason why I blame 50 Cent, because it was just the antics around it just
Mhm.
got heightened, and then other people took it there because y'all remember you two remember there was an era where dudes wasn't even battling. It was just like, oh, there go game right there. We're punching homie in the face in the bushes. Like they not 40 cal, not even they not rhyming. Like,
Yeah, no, I ain't rapping. I just caught yo.
right. Or look,
Mm-hmm.
oh, there's Razzcaz in the house. Getting what's happening? Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, they got homie chain. Like, so it's crazy. And honestly, obviously for anybody watching, you know, we don't want anything to happen. We know I'll put. They call me Vegas for a reason. I'll put money on this. Aubrey not going to do anything. Okay. Now, who knows? Who he run with and blah blah blah, and what's said and what could happen. Obviously, we don't want none of that to happen, right? We wanted to stick to wax, be about bar for bars. But honestly, when you're doing things like sneak dissing and then sending requests for features, right? Who knows? Maybe that was bait, right? Or maybe it was real. Maybe it was the whole reason why we had to watch him practically propose to J. Cole on stage when he was saying he's like the best rapper ever. But maybe Drake was trying to piece it all up.
Yeah, maybe that was the olive branch.
Right. But
That's it. That's interesting. And he was
right,
just like,
right.
"Get out of here."
Yeah, just rejection. Uh so yeah, man. I think, like I'm kind of glad we did this now because I don't think Drake is going to wait that long uh,
Hmm.
for this one. I think he's just going to go with. I think he's confident enough in whatever he had, and he might tweak it here and there. Um, obviously to address the cease and desist joint, and maybe a bar here and there. But I just don't see the ghostwriter stuff being a thing. I don't see him addressing BBL Drake or whatever. He might say something about Ross, but I do see him responding sooner rather than later because he just seems so anxious to get going. You know,
Yeah, yeah. He
now,
was. He was asking for it. Like,
yeah, he really wanted it, and I just wonder because academic was a little subdued in his energy compared to the previous stuff. Now he was kind of on fire with it when it was Rick Ross, but I think because Rick Ross responded within 2 hours of Drake's diss,
mhm.
um, it all the energy was just still there. And now when I watched him, he was I didn't watch the whole live, but he kind of was like revving himself up to talk about it because you don't have a choice. Um, but last thing, all right, so we don't know where this is gonna go, but I gotta be honest. Even with this Euphoria song, I kind of want it to stop. Like there's been so much around this battle, from fake AI Drake to fake AI Kendrick, and is it real, and people not really even battling bars. Anytime Stephen A is using a segment on his show to talk about it, I'm already disgusted, because there's no way he even knows hip hop on that level. It's gonna be some cliche stuff like he do with boxing. Um,
Mm.
that I'm just gonna kind of be like, man, get out of here. But I'm kind of I'm good. Like I don't even feel like J. Cole is done. Like, to me, I just want to get back to fandom at this point. Okay, you said what you said. You said what you said. Even if y'all drop something together, I'll be happy. But what do you think? Like, where does this battle, even at this point, rank amongst uh, you know, battle rap? Or do you just feel like, it's cool now? Or put it this way, you don't necessarily obviously have to feel the way I feel, but do you want to hear more? You know, or you want it to continue, basically.
Yo, man, I think it's a good battle. Um, I really don't need to hear anymore. I'm right there with you. I hate for this to stream to end on that note, but we just gotta call a spade, people. When we're talking about who can rap better, I think it's obvious who can rap better. It just feels like now what I'm seeing, with the online, okay, that was light, that was mid, that was we're not gonna drag this out. Like, this isn't what's the joints back in the days, the P Cutter. I don't need a whole P Cutter tape of all uh Drake versus Kendrick. I don't need that. I don't need that. I think it's obvious who technically can rap. Um, who has the technical advantage? I think it's obvious who has the popularity
Mm.
and the hit making advantage. I think that's obvious. I think that's there. We're talking about getting these things off your chest as far as who's the better MC. Yo, man, it's for me. It's there. It kind of stops at the whole ghost writing and all. It stopped right there.
Mhm.
Like, it's over at that point. Now we just, I gotta keep it 100. Now we just giving the internet something to react to, and
Yeah.
the internet is a part of the culture. See, now I'm gonna get on my old man. You know what I mean? Now all the gray and all the you from the 1900s, now all that's gonna come out. Yo, man, like, we get into the I just want something to react to now. Give me the next thing that I can put the thumbnail where I'm, oh my gosh, like, give me the next thing. But where is this going? Like, when
To
are
the
when
next
are
thing.
folks gonna be satisfied that, okay, they said what they said? Who is clearly the better rapper? I think you got that between the two tracks now.
Right.
I think you got
Right.
it. Oh no, that was mid. We gonna get the next. Like, yo, how many of these we gotta do?
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, since people like to compare, and I like how you basically looked at what Drake was good at and why he's top at what he does for that, and what Kendrick is good at and why he's better than him in that regard. Because, again, to use another boxing analogy, styles make fights.
Mm.
That's not a cliche. That's what makes this interesting, because they're so different in their origins. They're so different in their delivery, their fan bases, what the expectations of these fan bases are. And that's kind of why you want to see it. And they're the biggest ones to do it. J. Cole just basically decided that they wanted to. I'm out. The fall off,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And which is terrible, because I'm like, he the one we really, if we really want a matchup, it was those two. If we talking
Yeah,
about
he got it.
who's going
I
to
mean,
win, right?
yeah, yeah,
But I mean, to your point again, I just kind of feel like, and maybe I'm just looking at too much social media, but in a lot of ways I have to for my podcast and to kind of absorb what people are saying. But it is that because it's the same thing with the music. An album can be great, like Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, and it's all I see people talking about favorably on social media. And then the next week they're not talking about it.
yeah.
And
What
then the
else you
next
got?
week, right. And a week after that, a dude pops up. Was it really hot? And that's just where we are. you
Bruh,
know,
the
nobody's
internet,
talking about it.
the internet culture, is the again we're reacting. We're reacting, and we need something else to react to.
Right.
So yo, drop another one. Keep dropping them, and then we got to keep it 100. We get back on my old man, and we got to keep it 100 because people eating off of that. They
Yeah.
eating. We keep doing the breakdowns. Like I do as many breakdowns as I got to just keep them rolling.
Keep it
And it's
rolling.
like, like yo, like
Right. Even
th-
doing
th-
breakdowns for the fake tracks.
come on, man.
like and look, some people just gotta understand this internet culture, specifically YouTube. Um, it's just what they do. Like content creators literally are looking for hot topics. Obviously, we're making content, but this is not something I do all the time because this is important for hip hop. We talking about bars. Is what
Yeah,
we do,
yeah,
right? So the breakdown is necessary also to add a little context to some of these things instead of it just being a hot topic that we cover because we want to hit the SEO properly and get everybody to jump in and get them numbers ran up and put them ads on there
yeah.
and
And hit that subscribe button and
right
comment.
and get them brand deals. Yeah,
Hmm.
I just did an episode on Drake versus Kendrick where I broke down we don't want to hear all that. Put our ad in the middle of your joint. That's just that's what's happening, y'all. And then
Yeah,
you got the lower level ones on social media who will constantly just rip your thing and put it there and then create a discussion around theirs and monetize theirs. So it's all a game and it's unfortunate because everybody can't be a content creator on the same level.
yeah.
You
It,
know what I'm saying?
and let me add, it's like we're starting this whole notion of the MCs, like you're approaching them, or you're wanting the same want from them, like they're content
Right.
creators. Like yo, I'm gonna just drop a live right now and just diss his whole family. Like that's how I'm gonna do it. Like, and then we'll get hyped for that. Like it's like we starting to go down that road. Like, is that the expectation? Like really, like how many more of these? And then with the timing, oh, yo, he on the clock. Yo, he got 15 minutes. He
Right.
don't he don't do that. He lost. I'm gonna come out with the video and the thumbnail. Fail. Like
Right.
what is happening? What is happening here? So, and I can't stop if that's where it's going, and that's what the culture is. I can't stop it, but I speak to my observations of what
Right.
I'm seeing. And the thing is, that's what I can again appreciate about both MCs in this. It's like they are meeting the culture where it is,
Right.
and even with their sounds, like they're not trying to, like you said, yo, let me go back to the dungeons and just like no, like yo, this is my sound. This is where I'm at now. Well, this is my signature sound, and this is
Right.
how I'm going to approach this battle. Which I think that's the essence of hip hop. Like, yo, we get back to the ghost, the ghost, the sharp. I don't want nobody sounding like me on no album.
Right.
And we kind of getting that. Drake. You messed it up with the AI stuff. It was all right, but then you did now you sounding like Pop, or you sounding like Snoop, and then you want to jump back on and do your so. You got the made up. That's where you kind of went left. But at least with the push-ups, yeah, that was okay, that sounds like a Drake track. Like that sounds like something he would
Right.
rhyme to. The cadence is him. Like this is his style. He's in battle mode. Like he get points for all of that. Like he get
Right.
props for all of that. And then again with Kendrick coming back, like the rebuttal. This is my style. This is how I rap now. It's got shades of, what you say, the alien voices got shades of that
Right.
that's in it. So it's authentically him, you know. So yeah, man. I don't it'd be interested. I'm interested in where this would end, or how much does the hip hop community, how long do they expect this to continue? Before we
Yeah.
declare a winner. And what if you never get that? It's just not the ether I'm looking. What if you never get it?
Yeah.
Then what? What if it never hits like that? See, now I want to keep this. We got to keep it. We got to keep it a certain way for the children, But now this is really some crackhead behavior. You're chasing a high
Right.
that you're never gonna get ever again. Like
Right.
that was for them when you first got it. That was for then. This is a new wave. It's a new day. It's a new batch. It ain't gonna hit but for somebody that's coming up in the culture now, that's
Mm-hmm.
our age. That's within that age bracket, that younger age bracket where it's happening for them in real time. They don't have maybe like a history to go off of. For
Right.
them, this is that hit for them. So again, we'll see over time where that euphoric where it lands. It could be their ether for that generation out of that. Because I think about it like for those folks, was ether takeover? Was that the same for those folks as when we're talking about the bridge is over and was that kill that noise and all
Mm-hmm.
that stuff? Like, did they look at the folks that were adults and in their prime, their 20s and stuff when that stuff came out back then? Were they hip to what was going on with Ether and Takeover? Were they like, yo, we got what? Were they in it like that? Were
I'm
they?
I'm glad you said that because I'm gonna tell you the Exhibit A. My older brother, he's 10 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 47, so he'll be 57 in December.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Shan was finished back in his day. Shan was done. Busy B was done when Kool Mo D smoked them. He was done back in his days. My brother is. You would have thought Ether came out yesterday. Now that he has the context and has really listened to it,
Mm-hmm.
he can't stop talking about it. But when it was
Mm,
happening, we weren't having that discussion like that. I don't think we had it at all, to be honest. Um,
mm,
I think now he's been able to absorb it. And it's probably because of streaming services, right? You tell somebody, yo, you need to listen to this and this, and they could just pop it right up. Back then, who played it? It's on the radio. I ain't gonna go buy it to listen to it. You know what I'm saying? So let alone buy the whole album to listen to Ether or Takeover. So to your point, I think that's the key because not to belabor this point, but because this is our generation also. But what y'all gotta understand is this happens with every generation. You watching the NBA, you hate the flopping, you hate all of this. It ain't your era, dog. They not grading on the same scale. You can't talk to them about Michael Jordan like till they blue in the face because you watched them. I remember watching Michael Jordan feeling like he doesn't miss, even though he does miss. It just felt like he never missed. Like, oh, that's going in. Like every time. Right. So when they see LeBron and they know he got the all-time points uh, record and he doing things at an age he's not supposed to do, they like this to go. You know what I'm saying? But there was a generation before us that was like Dr. J's the GOAT. Kareem, Cap the GOAT. The captain the GOAT. Like it just happens. And I like the point about or that we're making about analyzing these two records, having those types of beats because it's just gonna be pleasing to them. Like I could bypass it because I ain't go front. When the record first started, Euphoria, I was kind of like, come on, Kendrick, now, like, dog, like with the slow mo, with the alien voices, like, dog, I don't want to be those guys who explaining, well, what he was trying to do was, I don't want to be that, dog. I'm just ready for you to go in. But
Yeah.
like you said, you hear them horns, it's like, oh, there they go. Like,
There they
okay,
go. Them family
right,
ties.
right. Then it was like, oh, now it's go time. Okay. And it wasn't until later when he said, can I make him bleed? Did I make him bleed yet? Okay, let's make him bleed. Like, oh, you wait more? So in a lot of ways, again, Ox said it earlier, he's not only addressing points or basically putting out a rebuttal to what Drake has put out, and even lightly what Cole has said. He's also bringing up new things. He's also doubling down on things that probably would push a T. You kind of, scurried it off like, oh, he got a son. Okay, we over that. His son is cute. And no, 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 no. I wake my son up myself. If you're a father and you ain't always gone, especially if you didn't have a father to wake you up, you know the difference of how important that is, especially to Black men. So in a lot of ways, it's just a deeper experience to hear somebody make a number of points that aren't just slander about somebody or just loose accusations. Things start to tie up. There's just nothing about Kendrick that we've heard that's kind of been these secrets here and there that you kind of hear whispers of that Kendrick just blows out and say, yeah, but y'all didn't know this. And I'm pretty sure there's something he gonna say, a line or whatever, that we won't really have any knowledge of, that we could just have to take at face value and say, oh, I didn't know Kendrick was paying that guy or whatever the case. But this is 6 minutes and 30 some seconds of just dissection, basically. And honestly, to your point, when did it stop? Out, my old man kicked in. Maybe that's why I'm even hyped. I'm like, I'm done. Right? Like, I don't care if Kendrick say something else. I don't care if Drake say something else. To me, this is sufficient. Now, since you wasn't on this other episode and we talked about it a lot, I just wanted to ask you this question, but this pertaining to J. Cole before we get up out of here. Everybody obviously says J. Cole apologized. Maybe he was right. Maybe he get out the way, all of that stuff. But what do you think like, what can J. Cole do next? Like, does he have to address any of this at some point?
Oh
Or
man.
can he drop his music unscathed from public scrutiny?
Yo, man. I'm gonna sound horrible. I think he better just leave it alone.
Mm.
Just be done. You said you was done. Be done. Don't go back into. Don't open up the box.
Right.
Don't. I was sitting back and I was listening to. I don't want to hear none of it. Don't do that.
Right.
Do not do that. Yo, listen. At first, I was being a little hard body on like pause, but I was just like, yo, okay, I don't want to hear nothing but PM Dawn raps from Cole from here on out. I'm not going to go that hard. Like, yo, do your thing. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing. Rap your raps because we kind of see, and even with this, yo, I think with this response, I think Kendrick kind of gave him an out. He got at him, he gave him a little jab, but he gave him an out too. Like, hey, this was just, friendly, friendly sparring, friendly. I forget what the exact bar was, but
Right.
yeah, he's alluding to that. Like, yo, man, it was just rap. So now that kind of allows him to just go do your raps. Go do it. Handle your business. You know. But I don't want to hear, I was sitting back and I was listening to the no. I don't want to hear that
Right.
because the side of history that you're on, you're the guy that said, yo, I don't want no problems. I don't want nothing. So cool. Keep it the way you don't want no problems.
Mm-mm.
Rap your raps. I don't want to hear no wrap up about it. I don't want to hear your perspective on it. I don't want to hear none of that from Cole. I'm sorry, yo. I just don't just rap your raps, yo. Just and we can because the thing is now we clearly kind of see that who all the smoke was really for. So just let it be that then.
Right.
Like, yo, man, that's y'all, yo. Let it really be that. And you just
Yeah.
get back to your raps. Is it gonna hit? Is it gonna take a hit? Will people maybe expect that? Like, yo, well, you gotta say something. And I think he just need to just do his thing, man. Just make some great songs, some great music. A hit would dead all of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? He had a hit record, but what's that? What's that these days? But if he had that, then he would be in the clear.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, man, I think where he goes from here, just rap, just do your thing, Dreamville, continue to feed your base because
Right.
they're there. I don't think I would hope he didn't lose his hardcore fans or his hardcore base. I think they would still rock with him.
I think so too. I think in a lot of ways, like, when we did, well, any of the coverage I did on it, especially after the apology, it's kind of like how we felt in the moment because, like, oh, it's a battle. It's not going to get violent. It's not going to be this. It's not going to be that. Especially with you, right? Because I don't think he got that kind of steam for you. Um, but I know it kept me from listening to Mike Delete later because it really kind of took the wind out of a brother's sails. I was just kind of like, man, I can't press play on it right now because the minute he'd be like, I'm the GOAT, the G to I'm like, yo, off. Because you not like,
Does he have to remove all goat bars
right. All
from
number one,
the
big
fall
three.
off.
Right. You literally have to take, and he is very possible because not all his songs are about being number one. Um, just focus on the world around you. There's a lot to talk about.
Th- There you
You know
go,
what I'm
man.
saying?
I
Like
agree.
there's a lot you could talk about. And in that way, you be making a statement about your status in this game, and it's a part of the big three. And the back and forth will seem silly as a result, in my opinion. So I feel like, yeah, like I think because of the way he bowed out, we're not angry hip hop heads who are like, nah, you ain't want that smoke. Like, yo, he made a Dear Mama too. That was nah, he ain't want that. We not like that.
We don't need no hugs.
Right. We don't need no hugs. We got knife work, gun work. Like, we got all kinds of work. Like, we're not like that. It's just that, it was a huge disappointment. And I agree with you. I just feel like just make your music. And it's the same thing with these guys. Like, this is the unfortunate part. The internet ain't gonna let it go, dog.
Dang on
Every
that. I agree with you
every time
100%.
Aubrey pop up with a new hop, and we like, yo, it's summertime. I kind of like this joint. Somebody be like, nah, that Euphoria though. Soon as Kendrick pop up, yo, he cooked. Why he took so long? It's not gonna go away. But just like Nas and Jay-Z haven't. And just for y'all who don't know, there are people to this day who will swear up and down that Jay-Z won, and it was a good battle. And really, it was only a verse. When you think about it, Takeover was a verse about Nas. Ether was an entire song, but it was so overwhelming that it was like even Jay-Z fumbled. Like, it was get super ugly beat. It was condoms on your baby seat. And then you gotta apologize. Your mama said, and it's just crazy. So again, we're all excited because we hip hop heads. It may not be what it was when we were coming up, and it may be happening in a different way. I think the more context you have on what's happening around these artists, the more you understand what Drake's saying, the more you understand what Metro Boomin's saying, what Ross is saying, what Kendrick is saying. The more you know about the situation, just like battle rap, because you can't just pop into battle rap and hear somebody be like, you sign them papers though, and you see the crowd go crazy and you don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
The line won't resonate. So you have to know everything, like the what's the dude YNW Melly or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, like if you don't know who that is and why he's relevant to that bar that Kendrick put out, you don't get it. You don't get the line. But just for those who like, yeah, I heard that part. And he was talking about friends. Well, the dude is accused of killing two friends. So now go back, double back to the bar, and you're like, oh, that's what you need. That's hip hop.
I think his album or song, Murder on My Mind, that's his that's the name of the track too. Like,
Right, right.
so yeah, so
Which is great.
you have to know, like, and again, that is a cultural that's the culture now. That's the
Right,
culture now. Like, so yeah. But again, it's, do you want to dip your toe in that water to see? Okay, then you had to do your homework and figure it out. That's just what it is. If you haven't been listening, you know. But
right,
if you tune into shows like this, then, because that's what I do. When you were talking earlier, I'm one of those listeners. I need to tune into the show so I can get caught up. Okay, this is what's happening. This is what's going on now. So,
right.
yo, you want to know what's happening in hip hop? Yo, you gotta subscribe, tune in right here.
Yeah, definitely, man. So we said a lot, but what do you think about this whole battle? Is this round one? Is it over? Is Euphoria that? Do you feel like all these responses, this entire battle has been light? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Doesn't matter if you love Drake, you love Kendrick, you love J. Cole. I've purchased multiple albums from all of them. I'm an actual fan, even physical CDs, but I don't have no way to play them. I ain't gonna lie. But this is not about pick a side. You can, but it's really about hip hop and analyzing some of these parts of this particular battle. And just again, we said a lot that feels in favor of Kendrick, but there's one thing you can never take away from Drake. He ain't never ducked no smoke. It's big time to say you battled Joe Budden and you battled Pusha T and Meek Mill, who wasn't no slouch. He come from battle rap. And now you battling Kendrick. That's a nice roster of people. There's a certain person who I refer to as the GOAT, who's also never ducked smoke like that. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying he's him, but nevertheless, what he's doing is hip hop. It's just that nowadays, people have a lot more information, and now we got to check the seal on some of Drake's diss records. Like, hold up, fam, this is made in China, man. Will said Yachty wrote this. What? I don't even like Yachty. What do you mean he wrote this? I like Drake. So leave your comments in the comment section below. If you like this podcast, obviously like, share, subscribe. We're on the road to 500. We need you to subscribe today. I want to thank the homie Ak for showing up and chopping it up with me. Real quick, tell people, because I mentioned a lot of hip hop stuff, but y'all looking at a man who not only writes but also directs, does cinematography, as well as casting on the new joint with the homie Jamar. So tell people all about your business in the film industry and anything you want to share as far as what you got coming up.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Thank you. 97media.org. The IG is at that's Ak at THATSAHK. So yeah, man, writing, working on next film. Yeah, we gotta get the bread. We gotta get the bread for the next film. But about to go and film some screen tests for the next film coming up in June. So gonna knock that out. But yeah, man, 97media.org or hit me up on IG. That's where I'm at with it. Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
No problem, and we're gonna leave the link in the description of this episode so you can get directly to that. Check it out. Until next time, y'all. We're not critics. We just hip hop heads. That's all. Peace.